America and I have often talked about switching jobs for a day, so this counts. This is probably the most fun I'll have all year, and I'm sending Lara to Baghdad. So she will have a great time. It's great to see all of you. I confess, huge Scandal fan, I think, which many of you already know. And I want to start, Katie, I want to start with you because we were talking a little bit backstage just about your trip here to Washington, D.C. You went to the Smithsonian.
Yes.
You went to the White House.
Yes. Well, some of us got to go. Well, a lot of us have been on a White House tour, but last night we went on a nighttime 9 p.m. tour with Shonda and Guillermo. We were in the Oval Office. We were in the press room, which our characters have never been in the press room.
No.
But we got to be in the real one.
We would not let you in the press room. No way would we let you in the press room. How strange is it to be in the White House, Tony, Carrie, when you've had this set? What's the difference? What's it like going inside?
I've never had sex in the real White House.
There's always time. Come on.
Yeah, it was bizarre. We went did the tour that you guys did like 2 years ago, and the weird thing for me was we were walking through, and the people that worked there said, "The president's here." And I kept turning around and looking like, "Oh, cool." But they weren't talking about him.
And I know you've met the president. What's that like? That was 2014, maybe since then?
I've seen him once since then, but it was surreal. Especially when he addresses you as Mr. President.
And I'm sure he meant it. Shonda, I wanna, this episode, all the previous episodes of this season, there are a lot of people who seem to think it's mirroring some of the things that are going on in this election. Is that possibly true, and why would you do that?
What I find crazy is that it feels like the election has been mirroring the stuff that we've been writing. The fact that we had a character, Hollis Doyle, who we've been planning to run for president, and then have a character that's running for president. It's stunning.
I don't know who you're talking about, so
I don't think.
just being very objective, or, you know.
But it's stunning for us. It's stunning for us to have that, and then to have to go back to the writer's room and say, oh, the storyline we were going to write, we have to pull it because it already happened. As crazy as it is. Next week we have a storyline in our episode where I swear, like line for line, it was said 2 or 3 days ago. And it's already in it, it's in there. We shot it, I locked the episode, it's done. But it's in there, and I can't believe it. Like, it's just a lot of craziness.
I think what's amazing is that for season after season, people have talked about how big the plots are, how much we extend the truth, that what happens on Scandal-ous is almost operatic because it is so surreal at times. And the fact that this current election is mirroring that absurdity is pretty amazing. It's bigger than what we're doing.
Shonda, there are things from this election, that's too crazy. We can't do that in our show. We could never.
I think every Republican debate that we've seen is way crazier than anything we could ever imagine. Or if we had done that stuff, if we'd had our characters speak to one another like that, everybody would have said,
that's not presidential.
Well, they should. So yeah.
You would have had them rewriting the scenes, yeah. Bellamy, tell me what it's like for you during an election year and, you know, the First Lady running for president.
It's also so, it's also fun because Nellie has had so many iterations. So for her to finally be exploring herself, her political self, her ambitious self is a thrill, but it's also a thrill born from her, you know, exploring her frustrated wife self and her grieving mother self and her loving to eat in her bathrobe self. All the other selves.
From
but
Smelly Melly. Smelly Melly to Let's Be a Campaign Slogan.
Smelly Melly forever.
Oh, I forgot about Smelly Melly. That's Let's revive that. We'll revive that. And Jeff, for you, where do you get your inspiration? You are a bad man.
I know. Cyrus needs a timeout.
Cyrus needs more
He's
than
really
that.
been kind of uber naughty, hasn't he? And, I love what's happening currently. Because I don't know if it's salvation, redemption, this kernel of strange romanticism, idealism that's in him, that Shonda and the writers have always had in him. But he's acting very born again with this candidate, Frankie Vargas. The things I find myself saying to Liv and to other characters just sound like somebody got baptized over here.
Yeah, baptized by Satan.
Sometimes it happens.
Guillermo, your challenges. I covered the White House. I covered the White House when Dick Cheney accidentally shot a friend. And I have to say, you want a surreal moment? Sit in that press room and have the press secretary come out and people saying, did the vice president fire the first shot? And you're sitting in that press room going, what are they talking about? So, they haven't gone any further than that in the murder department, but yeah, what's it like playing Huck?
It's great. It's especially nice playing him now because he's a very different person than he was in the beginning. I mean, all that, that stuff, that baggage that Huck comes with is all still there, but he's really trying to be a better man. I mean, for him to be approaching Olivia and trying to tell her that she's gone too far, or if she's sure she wants to do certain things, it's exciting for me as an actor to sort of still have that baggage as Huck, but sort of be this guy that's trying to be different, trying to change. It's great. I mean, Huck is such a complex, broken, he's just such a hot, mess, but he's also such a lovable guy. I just love playing with him.
They're going to use that against me for a really long time, I can tell. We've heard that your table reads, and the table reads, I'll let you explain what they are, Shonda, that they're sort of epic. And when you get into the table read, what happens in there? How do things change? Do you all read it for the first time there?
Cold. We read it cold.
Cold.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony, maybe I'll start with you on that one.
Yeah, so what happens is we're usually very close to when we start shooting an episode.
Sometimes
sometimes the day because Shonda and the writers work incredibly hard on the scripts, and Shonda never says quit until she feels that it's right. So the final step when the script is ready is for her to hear it out loud with all of us reading it. And there's quite a big audience of the people involved in the crew. So there's probably like 40 or so people sitting, watching. All of the writers are there, and then all of us around this huge table. And Shonda puts out place cards of where she wants to sit in any given episode. And there's at the head table is Shonda and Betsy, her partner, and then Tom Verica, who sometimes may direct or may not, is also one of the producers and the writer. And Mark Wilding, our writer, is there. And then we're all there. So then none of us have seen the script. We haven't seen a page.
They're literally warm.
Except for Josh Molina.
And how much in advance of each episode?
What's that?
How much in advance of
Day of.
Usually
it's the day before.
Or a couple days later.
Usually it's the day before. Sometimes it's the day of. Once in a while it's 2 days before, but usually.
Yeah.
And then we all read it out loud, but it's very enthusiastic. It's so much. It's like a party. There's food. Everyone's so excited, right? And we're 5 years we've been doing this, and everyone's like so pumped. And we all cheer each other. And Betsy reads the stage directions. And the purpose of it really, I would say, is for you to hear the script, right?
Yeah, I mean,
because then you go make changes.
Yeah, I've never been able to. I know that there are some writers who can sort of, I don't know, just read through a script and go like, this makes sense to me. I don't feel like I know a script until I've heard it read out loud by the actors. So a table read for me is really important. And the reason I said wow is Tony's being so nice and so gracious by sort of saying like, Shonda doesn't like to turn in a script until she sort of said quit. She doesn't like to finish. Literally, the scripts are hot from the copy machine because sometimes I'm typing up until like the very last second, or some writers typing up until the very last second. We're late. Is what he's saying nicely. And the table read happens the day before, and sometimes a lot of magic happens because we're late, and sometimes it's kind of amazing that what comes out works so well in that way. But also why it's turned out to be the way it is we didn't mean for everyone not to be able to read the scripts until the table reads, but because we've always been so late, that's what started to happen. And that magic sort of made it more exciting for everybody, and so now that's just the rule.
Deadline. We love Deadline. I can completely relate to that.
And we, like as actors, at first, made me, and I know much because you're very nervous, because usually we like to prepare. And like if you do a movie, for example, you have to think of the whole arc of the script. You need more time, but we know the show so well that reading it the day before you start shooting, you have this visceral reaction to, like an audience does, to what the show is and what's happening. And you can then work incredibly fast because you have this very powerful emotional response to the episode, which sticks with you when you then go home and learn whatever you have to learn or work on your scenes, sometimes for the next day. It's amazing. So we all really look forward to them.
And Karen, what about input? You know the characters so well. Obviously the writers do, Shonda does, but when you sit down and read that, what's your input, or what can you change, or...
Yeah, you don't mess with magic. I mean, occasionally something might come along that feels like, can I ask a question about this? But that's really, mostly it's like, can you help me understand why this is magical and I don't understand it yet? I mean, it's great as is. We are so blessed. Shonda and our Scandal writers are so committed and so courageous. And I was nervous about playing the same character for, I come from film where you play a character for 3 months at a time and then you're done. And I remember in our first meeting, Shonda was like, if this goes well, you could play this woman for 7 years. And I was like, what? But we never have to challenge ourselves to reinvent these characters or figure out how to make them more nuanced or interesting, because the writers give that to us every week. Every week we are blown away by who we are as characters and the journeys that we're on. So we are constantly challenged.
One of the things I read is that you have not shot any scenes in DC. Is that true?
It is true.
You just don't need to.
It's the sad reality.
I know.
It's awful. Every time the CGI guys are on set, I'm like...
Well, we do. They do come here and
without us.
Yeah, I hope so.
then
I hope all
put it into the computer and then
They use it over.
So, yeah.
But we shoot in front of big green screens.
Yeah.
There's a really cool DVD extra on season 3 about making LA DC. And it's the cooperation between the set people and the CGI people that's kind of amazing.
I love the scenes on the balcony.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful set?
When you're standing in front of the green screen.
But they actually...
No, I think it's great.
That's a big stage. That's like we have a beautiful big blue stage that they've built, and they built our Truman balcony there, and we get
Jail.
there.
But we actually were allowed on the Truman balcony, and nobody has ever been allowed there before, to shoot plates of what the city looks like from the Truman balcony, so that when we're on there, it's actually the view of the Truman balcony.
They spent 2 days up there, right? Shooting
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Wow. I wanted to kid him.
Hey, you learn so much at a Scandal camp.
Yeah, we're getting in there. Yeah, too dangerous. Katie, in the first season, and Carrie too, you often heard Olivia Pope talking about wearing the white hat.
Yes.
But this season, your character, Quinn, worried very much about the direction Carrie is going, and that she's gone too much.
Olivia.
Not Carrie. No.
Well, I get that anyway. At least you don't have a chair. That's why I asked for them. With a panel, as long as there's no chairs that Carrie can actually lift up.
Yeah, that's the dark side. Share the dark side.
Anyway, Mark.
Anyway, where were we on the dark side? So how does she? I want to get serious a little bit on this because your character, Carrie, clearly went through an emotional kidnapping and fear of death, and you keep flashing back with that. And for me, I see PTSD in that, and have talked to a lot of people, and I do cover war, and I know what that is. How much studying has gone into that? Is that what you are trying to highlight, an event like that? And the same with Guillermo, the same with you. I mean, that it's those traumatic experiences that you can't get over. So Katie, I'm going to come back to you in a second, but Carrie, start with that emotional go to Carrie.
I think one of the things I've loved about our show from the very beginning is that, particularly at Pope and Associates, it was a collection of broken souls that come together to fix stuff, to make themselves feel better. And I guess I got to understand, this is kind of what I mean about the constant challenge. Like, at some point I got to understand how Olivia is broken from the home that she comes from, slightly dysfunctional parents, politely. And then this tremendous kidnapping happened, and I felt like it was the ultimate breaking of her and also kind of a rebirth of her. But through that process of realizing that she had to be the person to save herself in life, that learning experience has been one she's been unable to shake, and has tried. But I think oftentimes in life when something traumatic happens, it can trigger other trauma in your life, and so you realize how layered the trauma is and how embedded it is into the very core of who you are. So I do think we're seeing now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, because you're writing it, I'm just interpreting it. I feel like we're seeing a lot of Olivia's attempt to unravel the baggage of who she's been to try to figure out who she can be. That's it.
and that's reality based. I mean, it is. I mean, that's how people have to deal with that. How about you, Katie?
I have to follow that? Okay.
I think you can stare off in the distance and think through.
Okay. No, I think,
Guillermo's coming up with something.
Yeah, I think like Carrie so brilliantly said, I think the OPA characters are really broken, and Quinn has had kind of an opposite journey where she came to, originally she was not a broken person. She was very, she was the ever-loving optimist, and then you so lovingly robbed her identity from her and gave her a new name, and she saw lots of dead people, and she very lovingly took her under his wing. Took her too. But I think
great job on that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But I think she's really I think she's like the poster child. I mean, I just think she's of really going through these traumatic experiences and coming through on the other side as stronger and braver and almost emulating the Olivia Pope she first met.
And wearing white. Well, you anyway.
Yeah. So I feel like Quinn has really blossomed and come to a lot of terms with things that she's gone through in her life.
And that's also a big testament to Katie Lowe's acting, because if you go back and look at the pilot, if you look at this kind of, don't